It's very nice to see familiar names and faces. Please write to me where you're coming from, like in terms of like location and what brought you today to this sound healing harmonics event. I would love to hear what's going on with you lately or like what's been happening in your orbit in regards to like all these really intense energies lately and very fitting for the eclipse cycle that's coming up next week. And it's so exciting for me to start getting back onto this platform again. I mean, it's been a really powerful 2024 for me, but I'd be very happy to hear what's your story and what's going on. And let's see what is happening. Please include where you're coming from. How's everything going? Hello to everybody else who's just decided to join. Nice to see you tonight. And I really thank you for your support. And I see so many familiar faces. So I'm really honored to be hosting this space tonight. And a very cool thing in my journey is I feel that for one thing, astrology has been such a healing tool for me when I'm going through like intense transitions in my life. And whenever I am just like out of answers or any solutions to things that have been left in question for me, I just find that the stars have helped me become much more harnessed in my body and much more calm. Because, like cycles that we go through, we may be going through really heightened intensity in the body and as well as our surroundings and situations in life. And it does reveal the solution and the anecdote of what you can do to like help yourself remedy it. And again, stars and planets that we are like working with day to day life. It's something that we could hop on and just really analyze and observe like the rhythms that we are experiencing in our lifetime. And the thing is, like, as we go through cycles in our journey, it really is so comforting whenever we know that the time isn't forever and we're always transitioning, just like how the planets are orbiting too, you know? So I would love to hear where you're from, please. And I know some of you people, but like, just so you know, like, you guys can connect with each other on this platform here. And it's very exciting because all of you, I know you, I've worked with you in the past and just by you seeing all of you in this space right now in this moment in time, it's such an honor for me. And maybe there's some like semblance or parallel as to what you're experiencing. And you don't have to disclose your personal issues or anything of that sort. I am not saying that. But I would have to say maybe you're in the same location, or maybe you're just like maybe the themes that are going on, like in terms of your life situation. Like what are the major themes that you're experiencing in this moment in time that needs renewal? And it could be just a general theme if you like, if you're comfortable expressing that. But I'm here to help you with that. And it's very exciting because today, as we're like in this space with the sound healing ceremony, I want to talk to you about like why I decided to like start like going into this path of working with sound bowls and sound baths in general. I feel like and if some of you have seen my Instagram live lately, I talked all about like how everything when I was going through like my intense transition with my partner, like broke up, marriage and all that stuff, but like when I went through the dark night of the soul with my healing period, I felt like everything was really heightened and loud and just like I had no sense as to what to feel like and how to be. And I just kept hearing the humming, like the sounds and my guys were just really telling me to like start working with music because I feel like music is the one modality in which like anybody could fall into and appreciate. And the sound bowls alone just like really does relax you into your body and helps you ascend in a way. It has like a duality purpose. So the one thing about sound bowl healing is that it's helpful for immune like autoimmune diseases, like it's helpful for the body feeling much more generating, like if ever you're going through specific blockages, like the blood like flow is like stagnant or anything like that, the sound frequency actually heightens and it helps you feel much more vitality over time. So it has like a healing modality to it. And I've learned to appreciate that because very much so this past year, because when I was going through like major transitions in my life, the sound healing actually helped me become much more calm and centered. And I just understand it much more in terms of why I went through certain things. So interweaving the sound healing along with the stars has helped me pretty much seal the deal when it comes to me finding the peace within And I'd love to express this space for you because maybe this will help you as well. Like, no matter where you are in your path, perhaps sound healing will be the one thing that'll help you make sense of things along with this lunar eclipse coming up. So, with all that said, and we got 7 participants today, including myself. Very fitting because this lunar eclipse is 25 degrees, combination 7. We'll talk all about that in about a second. And thank you so much for joining again. And let's get started. Here we go. All right. Tell me if you could see the screen. Can you message me in the chat just to double check? Okay, you're all good. Fantastic. Thank you. All right, let's get started. So, as I was saying before, like I feel like whenever we're going through like major shifts in our lives, intensity or happiness or bliss, I definitely see whenever we're going through like major transitions in our lives, it's like a melody. You have to make the music out of it. And it's very fitting because like I have been going through like a whole transformational theme this year, as I mentioned before. And I've resorted to specific artists and music quality, like music kind of styles, like to help me through, like whenever I was going through a lot of heightened emotions and feelings and all those things. So you tell me in the chat, where are you now in terms of your favorite music? Like, what kind of music do you feel like you're gravitating to lately? I would love to hear because I want to get a feel to see if any of you in this room right now have a specific modality or a pull of some kind of like you're both like in a way similar in terms of the themes that you're experiencing in this moment in time. So if you feel comfortable with it, and just like it doesn't even have to be a specific singer, it could be like the genre. I would love to hear it from you, please. It could be new age, it could be Taylor Swift, it could be like anybody. Christina Taylor Swift. That was me. The latest album was definitely cathartic for me personally, and I definitely feel what she was going through. But thank you for adding that. And Christina, I know you're a Pisces like me, so it's very fitting that you're gravitating to Taylor Swift lately. So, latest album killed me too. Yeah, me too. I know, I understand completely. And I would love to like know, and also just jot this down. You don't have to express this in the chat, okay? What is the one area of your life where you feel ready to, ready for change or renewal? Like just write it down. I want you to hold on to this because this is going to be the central intention behind the sound bath ceremony, okay? So just like it could be like just a word. It could be a state of like how you're feeling your body in this moment in time, or it could be a specific goal that you're working towards. And the sound bath will, not to say I want to project this into your mindset, but the sound bath will help you see visually of what's going on in your life in terms of what you need to work on or specific scenarios that you're in that you keep living out. And it will help you find the solution because the one incredible thing about sound healing is that it helps you detach from the physical body and the senses because it's like linear. Like whenever we are so much in our vessel here, if you will, the sound healing will help you become much more attuned with your higher self and your intuitive ability. So it could be through images. Now I'm just going through like intuition 101 here. It could be through images, it could be through sounds, words, colors, impressions that you are receiving from the healing. So just take note of it. And this question prompt is the main point that I want you to take with you, but you can also have other intentions that you want to place into the sound healing too. Okay. So let's just leave it at that. Now, all you guys know me by now. I have pretty much like have been like in all these major publications for these last several years. I have my own column online. It's called Ask Lumi column. If you ever want to read my stuff on Brit and Company. So yeah, it's been a major journey in terms of like how I have been working with these publications, and I've always just seemed to resort to empowerment, transformation, and just helping you become much more instilled with peace, no matter where you are in your journey, and to help you basically find your way in terms of reformulating your narrative in this life. And I firmly believe that, like, from anything that you read, for anything that you listen to, or any like kind of content that you are absorbing yourself in, I want you to remodify that and selectively choose things that are inspiring you. Or not to say you can only read my stuff, but like I'm just talking about like the content and all those things. Like, just what have you been gravitating to lately, and why? There's specific themes and messages that you may be feeling sort of like pulled to, because there's something in your inner world that needs refining. So this is like my background, and all of you pretty much know me, so thank you. And I just wanted to include that. And my mentors in this next slide, I've been working with Reiki masters. I've worked with Rebecca Gordon. You probably all of you know her. She's my mentor for many years. I've worked with James Von Prague for mediumship and intuitive work. David Crow for essential oils and fragrances. So I've been working a lot with the holistic life balance, and holistic tools and all those things. And I feel very much grateful for all of these people that I've worked with. And Bridget Esselmont, she's the tarot reader. So I've trained under her too. So, and as some of you have known, when you worked with me, I've like expressed lots of interests. I love working with a lot of modalities. And the main point of working with a specific modality is catered to whoever needs it in the moment. So the main component that I love working with is astrology, and I love working with the energy healing. The intuition comes through when I worked with Von Prague. It comes through like naturally for me, but like when I was training under him for a couple of years, I just found a way for myself to find my own like ability of intuition, and it develops over time. Like, it doesn't happen overnight, like with a class or anything like that. So I would have to say that, like, if ever you are deciding to like get into intuition work or starting to work more with your intuitive ability, there are simple tools to help you get there. It could be through sound, it could be through fragrances, it could be through astrology. It's just like everybody has the ability to get into the intuitive space. So the main idea and objective for you to accomplish that is learning how to desensitize yourself, and not telling you to remove yourself, but become much more neutral in your space in life. That's the reason why meditations are effective. So I just wanted to include that, okay? So now we're going to begin. So in the today's lunar eclipse event, we're going to understand what's happening during the lunar eclipse. We'll understand its impact on all the zodiac signs. We'll keep it very simple today, just and digestible, something for you to take. And also the holistic tools, my favorite part, because I love the idea of starting to work more with like grounding work and earth-based modalities in order for you to feel much more peaceful and centered. Like whenever we are going through these like really intense transits, such as the lunar eclipse coming up. And it's not to say you should be scared of the lunar eclipse, like what's going to happen, but it's more along the lines of, with this lunar eclipse happening, it's the defining moment for you to realize what needs to be released in your life. And lunar eclipses always happen. And we'll talk more about that in terms of, narrowing down the reasons why lunar eclipses happen and how often it happens and what you can do to work with it. And then we're going to have the guided sound bath healing. So this is going to be a really fun event tonight. And does anybody have any questions so far? And how's the sound today? Are you okay with my mic? Just wanted to double check. And I hope I'm not lagging. You tell me, please. Anybody? Are we okay? Okay. Thank you, Christina. All right, we'll get started. So, what is a lunar eclipse? Well, like back in the day, like when you read like medieval astrology and things like that, they would like consider it as like a doomed omen of some sort, like history wise. Okay. Now, unfortunately, this doomed and gloom kind of culture cultivated throughout time, and it's been spilling in our consciousness of us being scared of the lunar eclipse or any eclipse of any kind, which is eclipse season, which is coming up. I would love to beg to differ about this. Okay. I lived through major lunar eclipse cycles. I've worked with it with my clients, and I have to say that eclipses have to happen in order for you to experience the necessary changes in your life. And what happens is, whenever, astronomically, the earth is completely blocking the sunlight from reaching the moon. So the moon is actually amplified and the colors in full spectrum there. So when that happens, um, it intensifies the full moon effects because the earth is in full view of the moon. So we have no choice but to face what needs to be seen and received. So whatever is happening in your consciousness at that point, like everybody's really heightened because for one, when it comes to lunar eclipses and as well as full moons, the water in our bodies heighten. The water in our bodies increase. We get, emotionally heightened. Maybe our bodies get more bloated and inflamed. And it's just like because with our bodies, we're made of 80% water. And with the moon, it actually it magnifies like the tides in the ocean. So that's why we feel like the impacts of like the full moon and eclipses for one. Now the eclipse especially intensifies. I'm not telling you you're gonna be fully bloated forever or anything like that, but it's more along the lines of you like emotionally paying attention to things. Now, you shouldn't react to the information. It's more of like observing and just analyzing like how you would desire to play out these events, not to act on it, but it's more of like heightening your ability of tapping into your intuition more effectively. So that's what lunar eclipses do. I would have to say it happened to a lot of people that I worked with within the last couple of years. We have another guest coming in. So that's the one thing you have to like work on in terms of like intuitive work. And I feel like people have a hard time understanding how intuition works, but specifically around these lunar cycles, it helps you pay attention to the minor messages of what's going on within your subconscious realms. So I would have to say I appreciate lunar eclipses for that reason, and full moons, new moons, full moons in particular help you go through this motions every month, whereas the lunar eclipse is the major impact in that moment in time. And then the following months after is the continuation of that story. So with this lunar eclipse coming through, I mean, generally, lunar eclipses are all about like endings, revelations, transformation. Yes, absolutely. But it depends on where it's placed in your birth chart. So if you all know like your birth chart for this upcoming lunar eclipse, yes, you will definitely have a better idea as to what needs to be evolved in that particular area of life. So that's what I wanted to say about the lunar eclipses. And please include what your thoughts on that. Like, have you noticed during full moons, like what do you normally feel in that moment in time? Like, do you notice your emotions heightened, or do you notice that like I don't know, like maybe you like notice people around you have a lot more heightened emotions? So keep that in mind. And I will also have to say, like, I also recommended to the majority of you in this group, like, who's worked with me in the past. Like, I love working with moon journals for that particular reason. So I can have a better sense of keeping track of my feelings and keeping track of the rhythms of my life every month. So in this particular moment in time with eclipses, I would have to say, though, this specific one will be a major one. And we shall move forward. So this one coming up on the 17th. It's around the evening. So, my gosh, I mean, I would have to say with this lunar eclipse, the number 25, as I mentioned in the earlier part of the session, has to do with purging. Now, I'm not saying you're literally going to purge, but it's that actual realization that something needs to be removed from your life once and for all. This one's going to be the most really cleansing eclipse I've ever seen because there's a lot of major planets that are involved in the story. So, Pisces, for one, because the lunar eclipse is happening in Pisces. Pisces has to do with like the karma that we built collectively. I'm talking about like everybody will be feeling this. Now, with Pisces, they take on the energy of the Pisces energy, takes on the aspects and archetypes of all the preceding signs before it. So, Pisces energy is all about surrender and also understanding, unconditional love, mutual support, becoming more receptive to understanding in life. Like if you're going through something in your life where you feel like you had no control, or you felt like you left things to chance, if you will. And this one will help you realize the things that you don't need to leave to chance anymore, because leaving things to chance it creates blockages of your own path. It also results to more leaving things to chance. So, like, if you leave things out to the universe to work itself out, if you're not becoming the active agent in your journey, that's what's going to lead to it. You're going to hit brick walls, like basically like dead ends constantly. So it's up to you to decide whatever path you want to take. It goes by choice. Now, with Pisces in general, this is the path of surrender, yes, but the surrender to the things that have been narrowing, that's been like basically blocking your focus in life, and also creating stagnation in your journey. It's just like Pisces energy could be landlocked at times, very swampy if you're not careful. I like to say that. But I also like to compare this to like a smog. Like, if you know the kind of like smog that's going on, like in the city or like anywhere you go, like a lot of fog everywhere. It just creates nothing but like uncertainty. And the one thing that is, this lunar eclipse, particularly happening this week, don't decide on the day of, but the messages will reveal itself then. You decide basically within the next 6 months range. Now, this starting point of the Pisces eclipse energy will be the next 18 months. So, we're going to be going through a lot of deep karmic release, regeneration, understanding of our life's path, and also refining our narrative. And people will be a lot more inclined to helping each other out. And also, the main lesson having to do with unconditional support and authentic connections will come into play here. So I love to point out too, like the way this Pisces lunar eclipse is impacting the collective. It's all about forming bonds with people who are your soul tribe. It's huge. It's a huge thing lately. I have seen this like in the last several months with people that I worked with, and I have been going through with it myself. It's not to say that you have to meet just anybody, but it's more along the lines of you connecting with people who will evolve you, who will help you reach to that point in your journey with growth. For anybody who is making you feel deprecated and down, you have no choice. I mean, the lunar eclipse in general, you will have no choice but to realize that your energy can't take it anymore. It's like the ultimate cleanse this time around. And the last time the eclipses happened within this axis was 18 years ago. So if you recall 18 years back, what happened then in time? Where were you at energetically? Where were you at with your connections? What were your ambitions? What were your goals? Like, what was your perception of life? This is the enclosed cycle. Like, this is like basically like the full circle of what you've experienced from then until now. It's a major review in that respect. And I also see this as a real great opportunity for you to rewire your consciousness now. Because with Pisces, it's more of like you starting to get more into the purity of your connection with others and also the connectedness to life. Love to say that. And this is I think it's a very celebratory time for us with the collective and including you. Like, I'm so curious. I mean, I've been working with a lot of clients lately and I've been talking to them and like they've all been saying the same thing. Like everybody's been going through like the deep cleanse when it comes to old connections they've had, like with friendships or relationships. But now at this time, it's more about purifying yourself and moving forward in your journey to receive people who will elevate you. And the reason why I'm saying that is because where this lunar eclipse is happening, the starting point of this eclipse is taking place in the 11th house of friendships and networks, and also the bigger picture of your aspirations. So, all of this is going to connect within the next 18 months. Now, 6 months is all about the cleanse of what you got to go through. It's like the clearing out. The second half of it, the next 6 months after it, that would make it 12 months. That's all about the integration of whatever it is in your journey that you want to push through, be brave in your approach, but it's also like the period of just strictly persevering through it and not questioning. And then the third phase is all about like the crescendo effect, and you'll see things come into full culmination by then. So this is an 18-month cycle. So it happens in sixes. So 6, 12, 18. I could do math. Anyway, so it happens in 3 phases, which is very exciting. So this is what happens with the eclipses at each time. So the next eclipse will be happening next 6 months from now, which is in March. So I can't wait to explore with you the future ones. But in this one particular, this is the initiatory phase for you to start clearing out and basically rewire your consciousness. I like to repeat that because I think a huge thing that human beings go through, including myself, I'm a human. I'm kidding. I am. But anyway, like human beings, with what we go through is we keep resorting to the same patterns. We are so stuck in our old narratives and storylines, drama. Why are we so enwrapped in our drama in life? It's all about detaching from that and becoming more refined in your path and accepting grace. And I don't know what it is. Like, I just feel like, well, I do know what it is because the Pisces energy has to do with that. The Pisces energy has to do with the act of surrender, not falling victim to martyrhood or martyrdom, I should say, in your story. It's all about rebalancing that narrative that you just keep playing out. And I keep saying narrative because our life is like a script, it's like a story. Now, what kind of story do you want to play out moving forward? That's what you have to think about. And that's why the question prompt that I asked before, what area in your life needs to change? And what area in your life do you want to experience renewal? Write this down in your journal and we'll go through the whole process of, helping you find that or at least an idea with the sound bath. So, for those who have just joined the room, that's why I repeated myself regards to the question prompt and everything. So just, be sure to write it down. And also, like before we go into the sound bath healing, if you want to grab headphones, I would recommend that because we're gonna have sound bath healing remotely. So the sound could differentiate when you're listening to this kind of space without earphones. So I also have a YouTube streaming link. So it's live on there and also on the Zoom. So you could read the description on the chat. All right. So we keep going. So, as I described before, this lunar eclipse will be very impactful. And this is like an up close vision of the chart. And I know all of you are not astrologers in the room. For anybody who is, you probably do understand with what I'm talking about. But generally, with this astrology, the astrology of this lunar eclipse will promote so much power, so much understanding, and this ability to finally let go of the old narrative you keep playing out. I love to emphasize that because the Pisces Virgo axis, because anything that happens with the full moons or new moons, it's always the opposing sign. So when you start out with the Pisces energy, like this is like the initiatory phase of our experience in which we're going to be going through changes. Pisces is all about surrendering and going through more of a purity in regards to your purpose and standing in life. Whereas Virgo energy is about the groundedness and the ability to start building and looking more into the details as to what could happen and also what you can do to refine your path here. So these two energies could work very well together, very complementary. And I would have to say that Virgo, I definitely really appreciate in that respect because Virgo energy is all about cleansing, for one. Yes, they're all about cleansing the body itself, though. Whereas Pisces is more about cleansing the auric field, like the energy that you hold around you, and as well as cleansing the old karmas that you keep carrying over from lifetime to lifetime or in this life, you know? The Virgo is more about the groundedness. So I like to say, like, even later in this presentation, we'll talk about the holistic tools and the grounding tools that you can work with, and that's more of the Virgo component of the energy that you can work with here in this lunar eclipse cycle. Okay, so let's move on to what you are going to expect during this lunar eclipse. So this applies to your sun, moon, and rising, but mostly your rising sign will have more of an accurate read. Whereas with the sun sign is more of like the generalized. And yes, it's like a really interesting overlay of information as to what you're going to be experiencing here. So I would have to say, like, the categorizing of the rising, the sun, and the moon in terms of the priority and as well as the impact that this lunar eclipse will have on you. And if you know your birth chart by now, some of you in the room may have, you'll have an idea as to where it's located. Now, in this one in particular is 25 degrees. So the later part of Pisces. So for one, if you're looking at your birth chart, it could be like within the house or maybe it's in between houses. So you have to look very carefully. I look at Placidus, but you can also work with whole sign too. Okay. So let's start with Pisces and Virgo. So for Pisces, you're going to go through so much powerful changes when it comes to your identity. You're also going to help like go through this whole process of refining your personal growth. You'll be much more empowered to be brave in your decisions. And it'll give you this chance to finally share whatever information has been stored within your consciousness for so long. And, I'd say like lunar eclipses when especially when they happen in the first house, if you're in a relationship of some sort, or if you are experiencing so much stagnation in your journey through relationships and connections that you've had, this is a chance for you to start breaking free and starting to refine your connections with others and refine your purpose and intention here. Whereas with Virgo, they're especially going to go through like a whole revamp with their connections with relationships and partnerships. And sometimes it could lead to breakups. It can also lead to you needing to ascend your relationship to some aspect. It could be it could be like you have like a period of separation in order for you to go through like a more of an understanding as to who you are. So with Pisces, it's more about them. Like the limelight is all on them in this moment in time. Whereas Virgo is more of like, I just need to analyze like who my connections now are in this point in life and what can I do to help myself be more of service to others for one, but am I serving the right people or am I being around the right people to help me grow? Whereas Pisces is more of like, I'm ready to share my information and shine my light to others. And yeah, it's like a total upgrade for Pisces. So it could be really good for Pisces to start, going through the whole process of like reanalyzing their dreams that they've been, like putting on the side for so long. Maybe within the last 18 years, like if you have been setting aside your like goals and motivations and things like that, this eclipse cycle will definitely set the path for you to realize what it is that you want to achieve and go full spectrum, like, and actually do it. So you have much more motivation this time around. Whereas with Virgo, it's more of like the deep cleanse with the connections. Okay. And that's your message. And the healing strategies that you can work with Pisces is more of like self-compassion. Like, yes, you may feel alone right now. Maybe you're feeling like you are taking on a lot of the burden lately, or you're taking on a lot of tasks or things like where you're feeling like you have all the responsibility and things like that. Well, just have self-compassion because your soul group will come through. You just need to keep going with your motivation. Whereas with Virgo, you need to just focus more on the connections. Like, how are you opening up to these people? Like, if you are around people or in your relationship, like, start being more transparent, you know, start speaking up and in truth, and everything will make full sense as to who's really aligning with you or not. Okay. Just take a step back a little bit. And that's your message. Now we move on to Aries and Libra. So, Aries, you are going to be going through a whole revamp of your subconscious patterns. Like, what is going on within your mindset right now? And you may think that you learned everything you need to know, but there is so much more for you to work on. And that's with everybody here in this room. But with Aries specifically, this is more of like the hermit phase for you. And these next 6 months, you'll go through like so much cathartic realizations about like how you've been generating yourself these last couple of years. Um, it's your opportunity to also take on new approaches to your growth. Like you might even like I don't know, like ascend your meditation practice, or you might go through retreats, or you're just going to go through a really powerful period in your life where you're going to study your process to like how you are connecting with yourself. It's not connecting with others so much anymore. It's more about refining who you are. becoming um more authentic. Like, you are authentic naturally, but it's just like this is the period where you're just letting go of the old self, like the old soul. Like it's like a debris that you've been working on, or you've been like collecting for so long. And as I said to some of you in this like, group, I mean, who's worked with me as coaching clients or like even astrology clients, when we're working with the astrology birth chart, we work with the wheel like counterclockwise. So if you're like starting with the first house all the way into the 12th house, starting with the first house, like the house of self, which was the previous slide. But like with all of our experiences, everything it collides in the 12th house, like the subconscious beliefs and the systems of what you think is true or what you've been living out and everything. Well, with the lunar eclipse happening in that section of the chart, this is the deep cleanse in regards to what you want to release in your path, regards to your experiences, everything that you've gone through these last couple of years. And especially these next 18 months, you're going to go through a whole revamp as to you realizing how you want to live your life, and like who do you truly want to be. But it's not like you're coming out just yet. It's more about you redefining who you are. And for Libra, this is really powerful moment for you with the body, like becoming more like relaxed. You've been working really hard for these last couple of years, I have to say. So with the lunar eclipse happening in your sixth house, this is in relation to your ability of managing stress, also managing the mind body spirit connection. So as I was saying before, for Aries, 12th house, your 12th house is in Aries. So it's all about bridging down like all of that power and ability of you making things happen into your body. So if you've been going through lethargic periods, or you feel like you've been stretching yourself so thin, and you just don't feel like you don't have much vitality this moment, this lunar eclipse will help you realize what you need to do in terms of revamping. So holistic practices like could be like sound baths, it could be cleanses, it could be detoxing, maybe float tanks, those kind of things that will help you become much more in the body. It's just like your body's been overrun with so many tasks managing, and like now this time, the lunar eclipse is helping you face that you need to take care of this vessel. And it's not to be scared or anything like that. It's more along the lines of you becoming more conscious and like, how are you moving this body, and how do you truly feel in terms of your daily life? Like, what needs revamping in that too? Because that's the sixth house energy. Okay. Now, for healing strategies for Aries, it's just introspection, meditation, becoming more connected to self. Try not to overextend. Do not go to many places. And I'm not telling you to like hide under a rock or anything like that. It's nothing of that sort. It's more along the lines of you starting to take note of how much you are extending your energy and why. Whereas with Libra, it's similar in that respect, but it's more of like the detail and task management and just actually taking care of the body. Whereas with Aries, it's more of like you just need to go through a nesting, like a nesting period or retreats, or just starting to like become more centered in the self and not really become so enclosed in what's happened. Okay. So that's your message. And what has Arlene said? Oh, she directly messaged. Okay. We could talk about that later. I'd love to read that uh, at another time. So we'll move on to the Taurus and Scorpio axis. Okay, Taurus, lunar eclipse in the 11th house. You are you are definitely going to be feeling a lot heightened around your place in the world. Like analyzing what have you been working towards in terms of like how you're connecting with groups, your friendships, like have you found your soul tribe? Like do you feel like you're truly connected to people, or are you just kind of going on autopilot in order to just blend in? This period is meant for you to analyze as to like your overall purpose in this respect. If you work with a lot of people, or if you network regularly, or if you feel like you have like like a whole group of friends and you feel like you're the one who's outed out, this lunar eclipse will help you see what needs to be done. And not saying you have to be, defining and like make things happen or like end relationships and any of that kind. It's more about you becoming more discerning as to who you are connecting with in the friendships. So I would have to say the best way to work through this transit as a Taurus with the lunar eclipse happening in the 11th house. This is helpful for you to see, like, if you have been like in the path, like, have you been like following through with your long term goals? Like, have you actually feel like, do you actually feel like you have a place with people? So it's not to say you're going to end anything, but it's more of like you analyzing of your reach. Like, are you feeling like you are living out your aspirations, or do you feel like you need to tweak on things all the time? You have to make this happen for these next 18 months. But 6 months is all about the release of something in that respect. Okay. And that's your message, Taurus. So for Scorpio, fifth house, lunar eclipse happening there. Oh my gosh, it's very fertile. Very fertile with creativity and romance. So if you're feeling like your life has been like constantly, I don't know, like if you feel like you've been lacking inspiration or no vitality in those realms, like this will be a very fertile period for you to realize what moves you in this life. It's going to help you become more motivated to include joy in your life because you've been working really hard these last few years. But specifically around this lunar eclipse, it's going to be very helpful for you to start being creative and letting go of the controlled outcome here. I know, Scorpio, you have a hard time with control. I definitely understand that. But I have to say, with Scorpio, with what you're going to be experiencing from here on out, especially with this lunar eclipse in the fifth house, it's all about how you're connecting with people in the romance department. Okay. And I know everybody, it's like a really relationship oriented lunar eclipse, and I'll explain to you why later. Well, for one, with the Scorpio energy, it's more of like your current perception of love. How do you feel true love? That's where it begins in the fifth house. Whereas with the seventh house, as I mentioned before with Virgo, it's more of like the commitment and how you've been extending your energy. Whereas with Scorpio, it's all about like infusing yourself with the self love practices. It's huge. And if you have been going through so much stagnations in the love department, if you felt like you're blocked off or you never had a true connection, this is your lesson for you to start infusing yourself with love and acceptance, self love and acceptance. Okay. So that's your opportunity here. And also for those of you who are married, if you're married as a Scorpio, this is going to be your year if you're trying to get pregnant or if you're trying to like have children or expand the family of some sort. Yes. So these next 18 months will be very crucial for you to see these goals happen if that's what you're looking for. Okay. And that's your message, Scorpio. So for the healing strategies, strengthen social ties, Taurus. Yes, you have to just start not just going with the flow in the groups. It's more of like you being readily accepted in these groups, or are you being fully accepted? That's what you have to analyze here. Okay. So be transparent as to who you are with these people. Don't settle. Now, for Scorpio, embrace creativity, be open to trying new things. This will help you get more into that creative sector or creative space for you to have your dreams take flight because the fifth house also has to do with your projects, like your passion projects, like what motivates you to feel joy in this life. All right. So that is your message, Scorpio. Now, for Gemini and Sagittarius, Gemini, 10th house. Oh my gosh, career and public image amplified. You are ready to go public about something. If you have been contemplating on a business, if you've been contemplating on revamping yourself when it comes to your career motivation, something new will be approaching here. And if you feel like you've just been living like through autopilot, through work, and just doing your thing, and like you're not being readily accepted in the sphere, this is your opportunity to have your gifts be realized. Now, it's through you starting to clearly express what you want in this. Now, public image, like if you're thinking of like going public about your goals, like when it comes to your passions and how you want to create more reach in the career spectrum, talking about this is your opportunity. Like these next 6 months is all about you recollecting like what your true passions are when it comes to work. Like, what is motivating you in this life? Like, are you truly feeling like you're living your life purpose? You'll find out in these next 6 months here, okay? And people will just be looking at you like public image, like it's like amplify, like they can't help but notice you in that sphere. So just be who you are. Be who you are, emanate transparency fully, and you'll have a better opportunity to get what you want because you're being truthful in this aspect here. Now, for Sagittarius, the fourth house is amplified with this lunar eclipse. Opportunity for you to start becoming more home based, connected to family. Also, if you're going through like ancestral healing work, a lot of new answers or realizations will be coming through these next 6 months. Like you might even have dreams of your parents or grandparents or the lineage like that's been living out for many years. Like it's just like it's not about you blaming the family. It's more about you starting to understand what's happened. So it's in a way like a constellation, the constellation healing. That the constellation healing is about like um, going through like how the family has been merged, like how's the family been progressing, like how they grow, or are they stuck in certain like mindsets or the approaches to how family should be. This is the defining moment as to you realizing what you want in terms of maintaining and as well as like putting down your roots. So that's your opportunity, Sagittarius, and I'm very happy for you. And it's also very emotionally pull time for you. So if you feel like you're really like I feel like my feelings need to be realized, like I'm just quoting you or like quoting the feelings. Um, connect more with your ancestors. Like you just go through like generational meditation. Like you could talk to your grandparents if they transitioned, or talk to your grandparents in the now, like if they're alive. It's just like it's a period for you to understand like how you've been paving your path when it comes to your emotional security. So I congratulate you on that. And the healing strategies for Gemini: seek career clarity. Yes, like what is your purpose and why do you want to, like why are you like progressing this path and however you are living it at this moment in time? Like is it truly fulfilling you? That's what you have to think about here. In these next 6 months, you'll figure it out. All right. Now, for Sagittarius, create harmony in the home. Yes, I'd say do like redecorating, move around a little bit, or maybe you're going to want to move or something of that sort. Like something needs to be reestablished here, like when it comes to your space. So if you feel like it's been like kind of dense and low vibration, this is your opportunity to start reorganizing furniture or move to a different place. It's a high possibility that you feel tempted to. I'm not telling you should, but like it's like amplified feeling. Like I keep saying amplified for you because Sagittarius is all about like expansion and everything. So when the full moon's like taking place there, the lunar eclipse for that matter, you can't help but feel like you need to move somewhere or phase out, you know. So just analyze what home means for you. And that is your message. So we move on to Cancer and Capricorn. So your message here, Cancer, is all about you analyzing your higher beliefs and your systems of thought. Like if you have been contemplating on like launching a book project or publishing or something of that sort, this is your year. Like if you're like thinking of like writing a book for one, you have the ideas, you just have to make it happen here. And higher education, what does that mean? Well, like you could take classes, you can start like going through personal development, like just like it's your period to start redefining your beliefs and just sticking with it. You know, like it's not like you should argue with people or anything like that, but it's just like you go through questioning of like what's true and what's not. But this is like the investigation for you. Like you're going through like a whole journey of realizing what's truth. So live out the truth and try it. Like if you're going through sacred practices or meditation, or you want to go to retreats or some sort, because ninth house has to do with retreats or like long distance travel and things like that. I'd say like just be open and try it. Like, you know, I'm not telling you to break the bank or anything like that, but just like go to a place that just inspires you. Like it just makes you feel like you're elevated here, and try to get like like work on your spiritual practices, like if you have a spiritual practice, or maybe this is a opportunity for you to start that. Now, Because the reason why I'm saying that is because the lunar eclipse located in the ninth house is the release of the old way you've been living when it comes to your beliefs. So it's like debunking what you thought was true here, you know? So this is your chance to start like living more authentically in this path here, like start developing new systems of belief. And that's your message, Cancer. So for Capricorn, your communication and your connectedness in the local environment is going to be more supported here. So if you feel like you've been like hiding for some time, you're ready to step out and just start sharing your ideas with others. It's in the local context here. So if you feel like you want to try like a networking group, like a local networking, it doesn't have to be huge. It could be just with like a select group of people who think like you have a lot of insights to share in this space here, and people more than willing listen to you. Now, it's also for you to start improving your communication process because the third house has to do with the mind, like the mental state. Like, what are your ideas and how often do you communicate them? It's about refining that. So if you feel like you're doubting yourself, self doubt, or if you feel like you have no capability of fulfilling your goals in the local context, I'd say in this space, you'll have the opportunity to gain more confidence here. So, it could be also an opportunity for you to refine your like the way you're thinking, like the way you are expressing your ideas and also expressing like your inner dialogue. It's just like it could be a little like cluttered right now for these next 6 months. I just say like start sifting through with what's important for you, and also in terms of like how you're connecting with people in the local context. If you have like small groups like your friends and all those things, do things with them. Like just, start refining your approach to like how you're living your daily life in this respect here. But you have a lot of pull to inspire people in that space. So when you start like opening up a conversation with them or something, the ideas will kick in for you. Like you'll start making sense as to like what do you want to do? Like in terms of like the small goals, the small ambitions, or the ideas that you've been kind of like collecting for a very long time. Start speaking, start improving your ability to communicate your ideas, and it will help create the structure. Like people will make sense of it and they'll help you make sense of it. Okay. And that's your message, Capricorn. So for Leo and Aquarius, now your for Leos, this is all about you seeing what have you been building, like in terms of like your accumulated resources and things like that. If you're married or if you have been like kind of like living like letting things to chance, like leaving things to chance when it comes to your finances, this is the period where you're going to be facing those things. Okay. I'm not saying that it's going to be a tough time or anything like that, but you may be like seeing like your accumulated resources and wealth, and something needs to be revamped here. Like going through like investment processes or like learning how to manage your money accordingly. Same thing applies for Aquarius here, but for you, Leo, it's more about you analyzing like what you've been building in terms of like long-term legacies. Like if you want to like build for future generations and all those things, or for your own sense of safety and all those things. That's this is going to be an opportunity for you to start seeing what it is that you need to do in regards to this process here in terms of accumulating more wealth here. Now, I'm not telling you to invest in anything these next 6 months. It's more of like analyzing what you've been doing with it. Like what have you been doing with your investments, or what have you been doing these with your money for these last several years? So the opportunity for you as a Leo is more for you to connect with your energy self in terms of your perception of abundance, like your perception of energy and how you are you are perceiving wealth and abundance. It's like it's not really like a period for you to take action, Leo. It's more of a period about you fine-tuning your energy, you know? And it's also amplifying your intuition, so you may feel like a lot more inspired to become invested in your spiritual growth, or even like researching the metaphysics. It's not exactly like what Cancer's going through. As a Leo, it's more about you analyzing your inner self and your energy and how it's extended here. So it's like the power of like how your energy is working, like working in this life. Like how are you connecting with others through your inner world? So in other words, like if you're analyzing the inner state of your body, the inner state of yourself, um the energy around you, and especially the people, how they will react to you will be in reflection of how your inner self is expressed. Okay, so it's a huge transformation process for you, and I'm very excited for you, Leo, in that respect, because you're going to go through a whole soul makeover, you know. Very much like Aries, but in this case this is your body in the moment, in the inner self. Whereas with the Aries is more about the subconscious realms and finally letting go. More for you, you're more like the active agent of the change. Okay. So for Aquarius, your finances going to go through a major revamp, but it's also very powerful for you to start getting more empowered within yourself, like your self-worth, your self-identity, like when it comes to like how you're working with your money. So if you have like accumulated wealth, or if you're like on a business venture of some sort, this is your opportunity to start learning how to amplify your wealth through learning abundance practices. Now, with Leo, it's more of like your perception of the energy of abundance, whereas with you, Aquarius, you're going to become more of the active agent of you manifesting wealth through what it is that you're doing with your life purpose, especially with your business. If you have any, if you're working of any kind, you'll have extra energy to make that happen. Whereas with Leo, it's more of like passive. It's more about the inner workings. Whereas Aquarius has like that, they have more of the pull to like actually see through with their goals when it comes to them making more money. Okay. I'm really happy for you, Aquarius, because you deserve it. You've been working very hard in that respect. Okay. And I'd say, like, especially with Leo, not Leo, with the lunar eclipse happening in your second house, money could come very easily for you, but it could leave easily too. So just become more like modify your spending or monitor why you're spending. If you're going through retail shopping sprees or any of that sort, take it easy. Okay. So this is more of like you becoming more confidence, like confident in your money, not just spending it because you just received it easily. All right. But it's like, right. It's fantastic opportunity for you. Okay. So for Leo, the healing strategies are to work through resource issues. As I said before, resource issues is through the inner self, the energy. Like how are you perceiving money and your worth, and like how you are how you're basically consciously building a life here, because the eighth house for you has to do with like your partner, if you're in a partnership, your partner's resources, as well as your own. So if you feel like there's some kind of miscommunication in this respect, like if you feel like you're not really getting the answers you want, or if you feel like you're not accumulating as much resources as you would like see fit for your life, that's your opportunity to actually see in clear view with what needs to be fixed, and you'll get to it. Okay. And for Aquarius, as I said before, manage your finances. So again, any retail shopping sprees, or if you're feeling like you're thinking of a big idea of some sort, just monitor like how much you could spend and also how much you could accumulate long term in terms of falling back on the plan, if you have a plan. Okay. But powerful time for you too, also for this Leo, for Leo and Aquarius, like with this lunar eclipse. So I congratulate you too with the money, with abundance. So I'd say now for eclipse tools, like I love working with, as you can tell, like I work with multiple modalities in my life. I'm going to make myself a little smaller. Hi, guys. Uh, so lunar eclipse tools for healing and self-acceptance. I love working with chromotherapy. So as you could see, like when I logged in, I mean, you'll see with the sound healing ceremony, I have like color lamps. That's really nice, to work with when it comes to like setting the mood and amplifies your well-being and everything. So chromotherapy is a very effective modality to work with long term. It's not a quick fix it. So if you're feeling like you want more inspiration, you want more heightened intuition, you want passion and motivation, The colors that are best for this lunar eclipse phase would be blue, white, and magenta. So blue stands for, and I'm wearing blue today. Blue stands for speaking, vocalizing, but also clearly seeing through with your motivation. You know, the blue energy has to do with the throat chakra. The throat chakra has to do with your ability to articulate your ideas clearly. Because with the lunar eclipse in Pisces, you may feel a little too much in the ethers for a little while and you don't have ability to express. So the blue energy is going to help you become more in this body. And also, it will help you learn how to clearly communicate your principles with others. Whereas the white is all about cleansing. So white light you can use like, with regular lamp, but the chromotherapy lamp is very it's like a neutralizing agent. So white, it has that kind of pull. White is like more of like it buffers out. Like if you're feeling like you're really high into a specific way, if you got like anger issues, or if you have like you are talking too much or you're not talking enough, the white will help buffer it out and help you realize what you need to do. And then finally with magenta, magenta is more about love. It's beauty. It's self-acceptance. And pink, you know, the pink range. Pink has to do with like it's like more of this comfort that you need to receive. If ever you're in a period in your life where you're like ending your relationship, or if you're in a period in your life where you're contemplating on it because you have a fear of moving forward, magenta will give you this empowerment for you to see through whenever it comes to you feeling like I don't have what it takes to be on my own, or I don't have the ability to love myself. Like, who can love me? I can't even love myself. Like, it's like the kind of self doubt. Magenta will help you be more confident, and you'll have like basically you'll have like no choice but to feel like you're you feel very grounded within the self, and you will also feel really inspired to take on creative endeavors if ever you're on this path, you know. So I like to emphasize that a lot, and you can wear it as colors on the body, you know, like you'll feel like as you start wearing more colors in your life will improve. You know, I used to wear black all the time. Black is not bad, but black, it blocks out opportunity. And I have to say, like, if you feel like you need inspiration, or if you need like pull and motivation towards something you want to achieve in your life, start wearing that color. And these three colors could be the best supportive agents for you to see through to that. Okay. So I love to also talk about aromatherapy. There's Blue Lotus. Blue Lotus is really fantastic when it comes to wanting to heighten your intuition, also to clearly see what it is in your life that you need revamping. So it helps you see the truth in matters. So you can work on it with any like a oil, like a fragrance oil. You can work with it like as a diffuser or something of that sort. And even as a tea, if you drink it as a tea, it also helps you sleep better. It helps you dream also. Like if you're having messages or like unresolved messages, or if you need like some kind of clarity in regards to your life, the Blue Lotus will help you see truth and it'll help you see clearly as to what's going on. Okay. So I love this mantra. I openly embrace the endings in my life, allowing space for love, abundance, and new blessings to flow in. That's how I see this Blue Lotus and even the lunar eclipse exchange here. And the one thing about Blue Lotus is like the reason why Blue Lotus is the component that best supports the lunar eclipse. It's because if you know the symbolism of the lotus grows in a swamp. I don't know if you knew that already. You probably do. It rises above the mud of the swamp, like the algae, the gross debris, like that you find in the lake in the swamp in swampy areas. It stays untouched. It stays clear because it's actually reaching for the sun. So in retrospect to what I'm talking about here, like no matter where you are in your life situation, the lotus very much has a message for you to rise above the debris of your life, learning how to accept the path of surrender, accepting the path of clearing out by reaching higher. Like, I know it's hard to make major decisions in your life. I get it. Totally understand. But once you do, everything clears out. And it's very much like the lotus, because the lotus doesn't stay submerged in that water. It reaches high into the divine, reaches high into the ethers. Like, I'm not saying it's literally in the ethers, but it reaches higher to the light of the sun. We have to do the same thing in our path. Even though it's hard to make, as I said before, it's hard to make a choice because we're such habitual creatures, you know. But the soul speaks through whenever you make a choice. Like you already know what needs to change in your narrative. Everybody does, but the fear of it is what holds you back. And then the linear mind kicks in, then it barricades you with confusion. Now the lotus has that specific message. It's more of like, yes, you got to go through the energy, the bunk, like the gunk and everything. But once you reach higher and you vibrate higher, like in your path, that's when you reach more light and you purify yourself. And that's how I say, like, the Blue Lotus is a perfect meaning behind this lunar eclipse. Its specific purpose is to help you learn how to let go, how to surrender, and also be more accepting of the endings, you know? And it's not to say to scare you, it's not going to happen overnight, but it's just like the thing about like cycles like this, like lunar eclipses in particular, it's more of like this real, like conscious awareness for you to take those steps needed, you know? So this one will be powerful because yes, 25, as I mentioned before, 25 is all about you seeing what needs to be rewired in your consciousness. So, Blue Lotus will help you acclimate to the changes if you're ready. Now, the tarot cards, if you use any tarot cards, I love using the High Priestess, the Hangman, the Moon as visual tools. These three cards, if you want to like work on like, more intuition work, you look at these images and not to say have a conversation with them per se, but it's more of like you working like intuitively with it. In other words, like you look at the image of the card every day and you don't have to work on it like for hours on end. It's more of like a 5-minute scan, like with the lunar eclipse I'm talking about with these three cards. When you look at the high priest, this is more about like your process of introspection, becoming more quiet and accepting of the serenity in life. It's through actively working with your intuition. And high priestess has a message in regards to becoming more still and quiet in your process. Whereas the hangman, if you know the hangman, hangman is like the guy who's submerged in the Aries upside down. It's more about surrendering and holding still. It's not like making a major decision just yet. But there's so many perspectives that you could see when you're working with the hangman card. And it's Pisces, it's Neptune ruled, so it's Pisces energy. So take your time, like no matter where you are in your journey, like if you feel like you're suspended in air, like if you feel like you have no control in this life, just hold still. Just hold still and just quiet the mind, quiet the body, quiet your narrative. I like to say that again because I have to say, like, the hangman's message is meant to help you become more accepting of your life situation where you are and just hold still for you to analyze the next guiding steps for you. And the high priestess and the hangman working together. High priestess is sound wisdom that you receive, whereas the hangman is just like helping you see perspective in terms of what you can have. Now, with the moon card, if you see it's like a large moon with two dogs, it's like more of like you engaging more with the inward self, like very much like the high priestess, only in this case is your dreams. Like, what is your dream life at this moment now? That's what you have to go through in terms of this process here. And our dreams oftentimes reveal what could be. So if you're starting to do dream work and all those things, working with Blue Lotus or working with the tarot cards, I have to say, if you start working with these meditation tools or these holistic tools, the dreams will reveal itself to you, like in terms of like the messages that you need to listen to. Okay. So if you're like newbie in intuition work, these tools can help you. Okay. So does anybody have any questions for me? Like I'm going to move on to the sound bath right now. And I hope you enjoyed this lunar eclipse message. Please talk to me if you like to include anything. What do we got? I see one message. Megan, you love it. Okay, I'm so happy to hear that. Yes, please. And Arlene, you can actually message me on my info at lumipelinku.com. I'm gonna write this down, and you could write me an email, okay? And for anybody else, if you like to reach out to me in regards to any suggestions, or if you have any questions about what's happening in your life, or like in the lunar eclipse, you can always reach out to me too. Happy to answer anything. And please include anything like in terms of like what are your thoughts as to like what you've received from this whole read here. And I want to get ready for the sound bath healing. I'm very excited about it. But yeah, go ahead.